Another major issue in terms of physical development during the ages of 3 to 6 is the issue of preventing obesity. Because here in the United States, we continue to have a very serious problem of an obesity epidemic. And we know that overweight children tend to become obese adults. And the standard American diet, combined with a sedentary society, is largely to blame. So, how best to prevent obesity? First of all, we must remember that the early years are critical because it's the early years where taste acquisition occurs and where children develop a taste for certain foods. And studies show that the foods that people acquire a taste for in childhood, that tends to last all throughout the lifespan into adulthood. Now, as an adult, it's not impossible to acquire taste for new healthy foods, but it's just not that easy. So it's much better for the person if they start their life off acquiring taste for healthy foods, and this will only benefit the person throughout their lifespan. So we want to help the child acquire a taste for healthy foods early in life. Now, how best to prevent obesity? What does current nutrition science say? It's recommended now that a whole foods plant-based diet is the best way to prevent obesity. It can prevent obesity and obesity related diseases like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and some cancers, but also it's been found that a whole foods plant-based diet can even reverse obesity and obesity related diseases. Vegans are people who eat no animal products whatsoever, and they eat an entirely plant-based diet. And research shows that vegans have lower rates for obesity and obesity-related diseases overall, and they live on average 10 years longer than those who consume animal-based foods, so something to think about. When we're thinking about preventing obesity, I want to refer you to something called the blue zones. So Dan Buettner, he's a researcher that works for National Geographic, and National Geographic asks the question, where do people live the longest and also have the lowest disease rates? What parts of the world? So they live the longest, meaning they have the highest rates of centenarians. A centenarian is a person who has made it to age 100 or older. And so National Geographic identified 5 areas of the world where people have the highest rate of centenarians, meaning they live the longest, and also overall the lowest disease rates. And the areas are Okinawa, Japan, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Sardinia, Italy, Ibarra, Greece, and guess what? We have one in California, in Loma Linda, California, and these areas were dubbed the blue zones. So it's interesting to see, what do all of these areas have in common? Well, one thing that they all have in common is that they eat little to no meat. On average, they consume only 2 servings of meat a month. Also, they exercise a lot as part of their daily routines. They don't necessarily go to the gym, but just as part of their daily routine, they're walking around or gardening or riding their bike, etc., and they're exercising a lot. So what can we conclude from the Blue Zone studies? We can consider a plant-based diet for longevity, meaning having a long lifespan, and also for disease prevention. So something to think about.